You know what's interesting is when you talk about Regent and how it was a little bit easier because you guys had all these, you had a lot of this stuff already in place. I feel like that's really good planning on your part and really innovating on things where maybe individuals or businesses or universities or programs weren't necessarily innovating. They were just waiting, right? And I think a lot of people just wait. I've said this, I think, every single week since we started this show, and I think this is episode 24 or 25. I believe that COVID is really just there are terrible things with COVID, but when you really look at it from a business perspective, it's an acceleration of things that were going to happen anyway 7 years earlier. And so how does someone actually implement things that aren't necessarily the thing right now, but are going to be the thing right now?
So that's right. You're living in two businesses. You're living in the one that you're operating and the one you want to operate. What's the future going to look like? What's down the road? So it's always, Jim Carroll, always be selling, always be closing, his classic line. So where are we going as a market? How are we reading the tea leaves of what the future looks like? But I agree with you, Zach. I think COVID only, it solidified changes that were happening in the market, and we came up short in a lot of areas. If a business failed, it was doomed to fail, not necessarily, but certainly if there was opportunity for it to reformat, realign, that creative destruction that Joseph Schumpeter talked about was happening. I mean, look at what's happened. Like you said, some of the businesses that have grown, people are driving through and they're picking up, and a lot of really cool things. Office space, all of a sudden we're going to have all kinds of office space there. Maybe we were fat and happy with how things were, and so the creative destruction came along. I think it's probably, pre-crisis management planning. What if, the electricity shut down? What if a hurricane came through and, boom, we lost everything? How would we still do business? What would business look like? There's a great video that we show our students where the guy is in a utility and he says, how do we make money? There's only three ways we make money. We sell more, we raise our prices, or we cut our costs, right? And he says in a utility, you can't do any of those because your prices are managed. If you try and raise them, you got to go through all these hearings. If you sell less, then people are going to say you're ripping them off. If you charge less, saying you're ripping them off this whole time, and they're going to reduce, governmentally, your prices or what's allowed of your costs. So, and he says we do scenario planning. And so if any one of these scenarios were to develop, how would we react? And I think that's really what we need to do. We need to do scenario planning and not wait for the hurricane, but imagine it's next door and say, okay, when it comes, so then you're ready.
Powerful.
Well, thanks. I'm glad.
No, I think it is.
Look, all week. So come back.
Well, there's only one day left. So, it's not a lot of days.
What else you got for me?
I think that's it. I think this has been tremendous. I think it's been great. I love these hours every week. It's always fun. So Joe, I appreciate it. Tim?
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. It's the quickest hour of my week, and this one has been no different.
Great. Well, thanks for asking. Happy to serve you guys. Praying for you both, for your roles, because you have tremendous influence and opportunity. Where there's great power, there's great responsibility.
That is true.
If someone was interested in learning more about you or Regent University, where would you send them?
I have a Twitter, @re_redemption, which is about our the book and the redemption stories that we do, or Regent University, Joe Bucci @regent.edu. They can send me an email, or we have carrier pigeons here. They're kind of quiet right now, but just send your pigeon to my pigeon, and we'll exchange information.
And maybe it's like bell bottoms, and they'll make a comeback tour.
That's right. You mean I brought these out too early? Is that what you're saying? You can't see my.
Well, there actually is a local company, Drone Up, that is they're actually in Vegas right now. I don't know if you guys have. Actually, we should get them on the show.
Very well.
Yeah, so they Tim, I don't know if you saw this, but they are dropping COVID test from a Walmart parking lot to people's homes in Las Vegas. So there's literally contactless. So that's pretty cool. And they're based, I think, in Virginia Beach or Chesapeake right here. So those pigeons could be drones, I guess. So
there you go.
So, Joe, appreciate your time. Tim, always good to see you. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Peace, y'all.